Good morning, Facebook friends. Hi, this is Maria Quattrone with Be the Solution, and I am so excited today for my guest, Mo Rushdy with Riverwards Group. Mo, it's so great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you so much. And it's fine not knowing how to pronounce my name. So
I've a little stuck there.
a million different ways. So
how do I say it right?
It's Rushdy. So
Rushdy. Okay.
You got it right. Now, if
Good.
you don't want to hear it in my mother tongue because it's completely different, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's great to see you today. I love your energy and enthusiasm and that big smile you have on your face. So
thank you so much, Maria. Likewise.
Thank you.
I've seen what you've been doing, and amazing what you and your team are doing over the last few months. I've seen how you've conquered social media and how your guests and the interviews and the information and the knowledge. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. This came from COVID. April 1st was our first show. So I think it's like over 75 now we've had. And as you know, it gets turned into a podcast. So fun times ahead. I look at it and say, how do we still see everybody?
That's absolutely right. April 1st, that is adapting really fast, right?
Yeah.
That is adapting just a couple weeks, huh?
I had to. I was sitting home and I literally was like, okay, no lunch, no dinners, no drinks, no Union League, no BIA, no Rittenhouse Square, no nothing. And you had to figure out. You have to figure out. Pivot is an overused word, but you got to figure out how to make a change in order to continue to move things forward. So it's been interesting times. So Riverwards Group, you guys are killing it over there.
We're trying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we're killing it because there are just, I mean, the amount of companies that are the developers that have signed over the last 5 to 7 years, 8 years, especially in the neighborhoods, have been numerous. There's, we're honored and happy to be just one of these companies out there that are trying to kind of change neighborhoods. It's just amazing how these neighborhoods has changed so much with the efforts of everyone, all the developers in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable everything that's happened, and the all the growth, all the new people moving into the area. So, where are you with your latest project?
So, Riverwards Group has, I mean, back 10 years ago, when Lara and I started doing stuff together in the neighborhood, for us, it was very simple. We're building in Philly, right? We understand what the incomes are in Philly. We understand, where we want to be as a target market. I always say the target market for us is not it's not an age group. It's more about income. We are trying, if we consider ourselves succeeding, if we can provide a home or sell a home that has a payment less than $2,000 a month for a single family home with parking, that's on the for sale end. So that is as simple as it gets when it comes to who our target market is. You back that into what kind of pricing that we're looking for homes. We want to stay in that single family home, $375,000 to $425,000 for a single family home. So we're trying to be sub $400,000 always at all times.
That's where 80% of the buyers are in Philadelphia.
That's exactly right.
200 to 400, 80%.
Right, and that's exactly right. And we've always stuck to our guns when it came to that price point because we realized that this city, Philadelphia, is such an underpriced market. I mean, look at the 95 corridor and look at where we are in terms of pricing. We're such an underpriced market. But the issue is not about the pricing. It's really about who's buying, right? Who is your buyer? I mean, and if we understand who that middle Philadelphian is and how much they're making, what their household size is, and what they're looking for in terms of a payment, right? You'll understand what the need is in terms of pricing. So for us to achieve that price point on a for sale end, and for us to be able to provide homes that are in the 300s, that are single family homes with parking, with roof decks, with basements, with, you know, the bells and whistles of new homes, you know, we gotta be more risk taking when it comes to the purchase and the land acquisition strategy that we have, right? So we go out a little bit of the comfort zone of you know, well established or semi established areas, and we try to purchase land in mats, right? We try to purchase 4 acres or 5 acres or 3 acres where we can plug in 150 units or 200 units or 250 units, where you actually change the neighborhood, right? Now, the infills have a huge role into that development of the Riverwards area, Fishtown, Port Richmond, you know, Northern Liberties, and all that. But it took time. Like, it took time for infills to kind of show that kind of difference in a neighborhood, right? Let's take Fishtown for example. It's the development that happened in Fishtown is mostly infill development, right? Because there's a well-established neighborhood to begin with, and so you don't have these large plots of land where you can put in 150 or 200 units. Now you push out into East Kensington and South Kensington. You see it on Google Earth. You'll see these huge industrial blocks that are sitting there doing nothing or vacant land. And that is why areas such as, let's say, South Kensington or East Kensington are taking much less time to show that kind of advancement. It's because you can plug in these large developments, which completely change the neighborhoods. You know, our stuff at Fifth and Cecil B. Moore and Frankfurt and Lehigh Avenue. I mean, these are locations 2 years ago, 2 to 4 years ago, you'd be kind of weary about putting homes there. But now when you go there and you're driving through a 1,000 linear feet of road frontage or street frontage, where you're putting single family homes, new people moving into the community, now the neighborhood has completely changed, and you have spread that. Now the infill can come in and fill in all the blanks between that new development and, let's say, an established neighborhood on the other side, and everything in between starts getting filled in, and then we push it to the next side. So that's who we are.
Yeah, you really have done a remarkable job. I mean, to change the whole landscape of Lehigh Avenue, it's very bold. It's very bold. It's a lot of foresight in seeing that and being able to envision it, making it happen. I mean, a lot of people would have been like, who wants to live there? But you're building an entire community, and at the right price point, and a great product, and then you have a win, right?
Absolutely. And you see, look at who our buyer is, right? So you look at who our buyer is, you know, average making $65,000-$70,000 a year. So people making between, I would say, I mean, we did the averages between 25 to 40 bucks an hour. Household average size is about 1.5. So you're kind of split between single income and double income. You know, you're providing the amenities of a kind of like a semi-suburban, I don't want to say a suburban job, but, you know, when you're putting 150 units on 5 acres, you know, you've got an acre of open space, you've got your parking, you've got your inner private street roads, you've got a community house, you know, that we're going to be doing for the apartment section. You know, that's community living. No gates, you know, so we have public trail that goes about a half a mile in the neighborhood. So we're trying to integrate with the neighborhood. It's not like we're trying to put an oasis in the middle of Kensington. Absolutely not. What we're trying to do is actually better the development. No one is being displaced. We're actually going in an underutilized land, and we're bringing in new buyers from, I would say 20-30% of our buyers from out of the city, outside of Philadelphia.
I wanted to ask you about that. Where are they coming from that are buying, that have bought? there?
So about 70% are coming from Philadelphia. I would tell you that probably 90% of our buyers are first-time home buyers. That's number one. Number two is 70% are coming from their rental developments that they used to live in, and then about 20 to 30% come from outside of Philadelphia County. So New York, I would say probably about 5 to 10%. Again, especially with I wouldn't say COVID. I would say in the last 2-3 years, technology has allowed for a lot of people to work from home and only showing up at the office once and twice a week. Shared working solutions that have been there for the last 4 or 5 years. So more and more people are looking at where they live and the efficiency of where they live as a place where they can focus and put an investment in versus, let's say, just living in a studio rental and because they're spending 90% of their time in the office. Now people are looking for more space, more they're more mobile. Let me put it this way. So, and then the rest of it are coming from King of Prussia area, different counties around in Philadelphia.
Yeah, people definitely are looking for more space right now. That is one of the biggest takeaways that we've seen since COVID hit. The space is key. I can't tell you how many families I've spoken to where the kids all home, parents still working from home. They don't have a dedicated office space because they never worked from home, so they didn't need it. Now you're seeing them want that and want more outdoor space. Very interesting times. I guess you never would have, I don't know. I never thought, I never envisioned this right now, our new normal, but it is our new normal. And we have to be able to live and work and enjoy life with where we are today.
Maria, I want to, we were talking about this before going live. I understand the challenges of COVID 100%, and they are challenges. There are a lot of challenges in COVID, but there's a lot of silver lining and stuff that we have bettered ourselves and we have improved ourselves in terms of as companies, as business owners, as employees who can navigate and work from different locations, even on the business end, right? With land prices going through the roof pre-COVID, we were able to post-COVID, go back to a couple of the deals that we were negotiating and saying, hey, what do you want to do? Because it's now or never. And if it's not now, you're going to stay there for a while with that land of yours. So again,
were you able to negotiate those deals out now?
Absolutely.
Under contract?
Absolutely. We put a couple of big pieces of land under contract post-COVID. And I don't want to say it's because of COVID. I just want to say that COVID has made brought a little bit of reality to a lot of the landowners that, hey, listen, it's not your market anymore. Developers definitely are hurting, and they're not hurting because of a bad market. They're hurting because construction shutdowns, and they're not able to close on the homes, and
supply chain problems.
Exactly, supply chain issues where it's taken an extra 15 to 20% time to build a house, and you've got limitations of the number of people that can work in the home. If you're in a single-family home construction, you can't have more than 3 people inside. If you're in multifamily, you can't have more than 4 people in a unit, right? These are all challenges that developers are going through. And so, explain to landowners, hey, listen, you're not going to get 10 offers on that land. So you want to take my offer and move on and let's get through the process, or what do you want to do? So it brought in a little bit of reality and being reasonable to the conversation. And, I think that's kind of, again, the silver line.
One of the things also that buyers are Buyers like vacant homes and new construction homes right now because there's no germs.
Absolutely.
So it's a great opportunity for the building developers and builders, the ones that are building the right product, to really take advantage of that. I mean, buyers are definitely looking at new construction a little bit harder than they would have maybe in the past. That's what I've been seeing. And
I
you?
agree. I agree. I agree 100%. And not only that, developers have, I'll give you an example. So we designed we have a job, 151 unit job on the corner of 5th and Cecil B. Moore. The name is Avenue 5.
Mhm.
And, these look like two huge buildings. One is 86, one is 65, I think. But they're actually not two buildings. Each one of these are composed of quadplexes and triplexes stuck to next to each other, where from the outside they appear to be these huge buildings all within that same nice development. But what it does in a post-COVID kind of era is that, instead of you going into a lobby and you're sharing, that lobby with 150 other tenants touching the same handle, going in the same lobby and touching the same stuff. No, right now you're only sharing your entrance with 3 other tenants in the same building. So instead of
It's
having,
a big deal.
it is a big deal. So now, you've got someone that is, infected with COVID, you're informing 3 people, hey, listen, building 36 has, someone tested positive. You can inform 3 other tenants. There's no reason to believe, and all the common elements are outdoors. So there's no, and they each have their own roof deck for every 4 units. So what it does is you don't have to scare the other 148 tenants because you're really in contact with that public. So that's the kind of stuff that, people are going to be looking at in the next, listen, there is PTSD from COVID. Everyone, even after vaccines come out, you'll see people still saying, hey, listen, who knows? Maybe there's another virus that's going to come in 2 years and 3 years, right? And people want to be sure that they're well prepared for it in the future. And I think, like you said, they're going to look at new construction in a different way when they're making decisions.
Yeah, I think, the high-rise condo market is problematic.
I would agree with you. I think 2 things. I think overreach, high-priced, um, high-priced, small-sized units are going to have issues in the neighborhoods over the next coming few years, right? Hey, listen, I'm not saying I'm against studios, but I'm against overpriced studios in the neighborhoods, right? So today you'll see, I don't want to put in the numbers so no one feels targeted here, but you see pricing that exceed $3 and $3.50 a square foot on the rental basis, and you look at it and you're like, is this sustainable in a time where people are looking for larger space? Like, I would move in a studio if I get a deal. Like, I'm going to move in and I'm not going to be paying over $1,000 for it, for example, right?
Yeah, I think there's problems renting 1 bedrooms.
Right.
Because if you have to work from home, you have to work from home. 1 bedroom is just not cutting it.
I agree. And we're one of these developers that all of our condos and apartment buildings are 50% or more 2 bedrooms. So if you look at our 151 unit job on 5th and Cecil B. Moore, we are 90% 2 bedroom units, of which half of them are 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. A lot of us look at it as developers would look at that product mix and say, well, you're missing out on revenues because you can reach higher densities with smaller units and a higher kind of absorption or revenue per square foot.
Right.
We look at it as the stability and the rentability of what's going to happen in the future and the turnaround that happens. Having a 2 bedrooms, like you said, either allows for a second place or second bedroom that people can use for their working, instead of working out of a kitchen, they're working out of an office, right? And it also allows for a roommate, the possibility of a roommate in the times of high priced or units that you can actually live in a community and you can share the rental with the roommate, the rent, and still be living in a very nice new construction place. So I share your sentiment there.
So you've been, all the development has been in the city. Are you looking out into the suburbs
So
with the new sense of reality?
So we're starting to, yes. We have already, about a year and a half ago, took our first job, which I consider as the suburbs, but
The Rock in Roxbury.
the one in Roxbury, right?
Yeah.
And you probably see right there the development right there on the top left corner of the screen.
Oh yeah.
It's one of these suburban looking jobs. 40 single family homes, 30 of them are standalone single family homes detached on a 12-acre piece of ground. So it's more of a suburban job. And so we took this as a test, and it's been doing great. Different buyer, not a first-time home buyer, probably about 7 to 10 years kind of older than our typical buyer in the city. Kids, with a lot of the buyers, it's already 60%, 65% sold. Kids buying into them, and it's working great. I think a lot of it has to do with the tax abatement and the 10-year tax abatement, and you're kind of in a suburban setting, but you're still enjoying the 10-year. So yeah, the short answer is yes. We're looking at areas that it makes sense. There is a lot of there's very, very low inventory in the suburbs. Let me put it this way, and nothing.
Very low inventory.
Yep.
We put an offer in on a property the other day, right outside in the city, but Mount Airy, West Mount Airy. 6 offers, 10%, 150,000 over asking.
Wow.
We didn't get it because I didn't really think it would go for 150,000 more than they asked for it. But that's what's happening.
We're hearing more and more of these stories, Marianne. We're hearing it in the shore. The shore is the same way.
Can't buy down there either.
Right. You can't. Right. So, partially because people are starting to realize that, hey, I can work out of the shore and have the kids there, and we can do remote and whatever.
Right, and they sent the kids. A lot of people I know sent their kids to that have places in Ocean City, sent their kids to school in Ocean City.
Right.
Because they're going to school.
Yeah.
And that was important to that family.
Yep. It's adapting to the new world, I guess.
It's so interesting. So you brought up the 10-year tax abatement. I want to touch on that for a minute. I know there was some legislation, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, the 15th or something, that the BIA put out there to council. Where is that?
So there's two different legislations out there. One of them is and they're both linked together. They're on 2 separate bills, but they're kind of attached to each other. One that development industry, of course, will look at it as unfavorably, which is the 1% construction tax.
Yes.
Right? And then the other part, the construction industry or the development industry is going to look at it and be like, wow, that's great, which is the 3-year extension of the 10-year tax abatement. Meaning that when I say 3-year extension, I want to just be very clear what it means. 3 extension meaning that in 3 years, if you approve a new development and apply for the 10-year tax abatement, everyone will get the 10-year tax abatement from that 3-year point. So it basically allows for developers to still enjoy the incentive, or not sure the incentive, or have an incentive to develop in the city. To tell you the truth, the 10-year tax abatement has been the main driver behind development in the city.
Huge driving force, no doubt.
Absolutely, and it was set to expire this year. So starting January, it was expiring January 1st.
So the net effective of that is what, 6.5 years?
Yes,
Like the step down?
5.5 years on the
5.5.
the new tax abatement was, if you do the net present value of the effective, it's about 5.5 years. I'm talking about the new one that was implemented. It's 10 years. It's still called a 10-year tax abatement. It's divided, it tapers down, and now that gets delayed for 3 years.
Right. So the net effective was 5.5. I, for some reason, thought it was 6.5.
Yeah,
5.5. That's even worse.
Yeah, I think it's 5.5 years, and so why do we like these? Why do we like this combination of legislation? Because it's again, the city over the last 6 months, and I'm going to bring up some other legislation, starting to really look at and put out legislation that makes sense, right? It's not just, let's just put a 1% construction tax. Well, 1% construction tax is more like a 0.7% off of the net sales of a job, which means in essence that you might be taking off 10%, or it's like effective of a 10% extra tax on income, like if you really do the math. So now, coupling it with the extension of the 10-year tax abatement, you have to look at the net effect of, one, you don't have the 1% construction tax, and you don't have the current abatement, and you start getting the new abatement, the one that's 5.5 to 6 years, kind of net effect abatement in place that starts January 1st. That's what we have. And the other alternative is to have that 1% construction tax with the 3-year extension. Now, we don't support or oppose based on an opinion. We do it based on simple analysis. Does it make sense? Does it have a net positive effect for the economy? Okay, for the Philadelphia economy and for developers to keep on developing. And the answer is yes, right? Now, I'm not sure a lot of people know this piece of information, but Department of Commerce announces what they call the spending multiplier every year. What that means is for every, they tell you what the spending multiplier on construction means. For every dollar that you spend on development, how much of an economic stimulus happens to the city. And that number ranges between 4.5 to 4.7, right? So when you do a 100-unit job that is $35 million job, right? The actual effect on the economy is more like 150 million. Why? Because that means people are hired. That means you're purchasing material. That means that company that you're purchasing material from hires its own people. That means you are renting trucks. That means these trucks are renting drivers. That means that driver is paying rent. There's a multiplier effect.
Right.
This is not us saying it. This is Department of Commerce. And so these two legislations, what they do is keep the ball moving, and which is much needed revenues for the city. Now, the BIA has done research and did a survey on what we think the effect of the new tax abatement would have on current projects that were purchased and are still going through approvals. And I think the number was about 45% of these jobs would drop off.
Wow, that's significant.
That is significant.
It's critical that they pass this legislation.
Absolutely. And what, and the reason is, why would they drop off? Is that an exaggeration? And the answer is no, it's not. Because if you look at these, if you go dig deep into the performance of these developers and us as an industry, this is Philly. We're not renting at $3 or $4 and leasing out at $3 and $4 a square foot. You're leasing out in these neighborhoods from $1.75 to $2.20 a square foot. That's it.
That's the numbers.
Right. And then you have a construction cost on these multifamily, even a simple triplex and quadplex, $140, $150, $160 a square foot. You see what the capped value is on the expenses, and you're like, where's the margin? Like, the margins are so slim. And so when you add when you add that much, that 4.5 year difference on the tax abatement brought him forward onto the pro forma in terms of a added operating expense, in a lot of times it kills the deal because the deals are so tight. The deals are so tight. So it kills a lot of deals. So, and that's why we think, hey, listen, even if it's not 45%, even if it's 30% of projects dropping off, can you imagine the millions of dollars in revenues that the city gets and the jobs created and the restaurants that that still operate for these new developments that we're going to be going in, and the people that work on it, the jobs created. It's huge.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they get 4% every time 4.2% every time something closes.
Right. That's
right.
That's just the transfer tax.
Yeah, that's just the transfer. It's big money.
That is the transfer tax. I will give
money.
I will give you some stats, and I'm a numbers guy, so I'll give you numbers that will really surprise you. Kensington Court pre-purchase was paying about $9,000 a year in real estate taxes. $9,000 a year. It had a business that operated 2 part-time employees. Okay, a used car yard or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Today, okay, we have already spent. We have just in transfer tax, we are over $1.5 million in transfer tax, and that's on our side. That's not on the buyer side, right? Just in transfer tax, we have paid for 100 years worth of, real estate tax pre that development on the site. With the full 10-year tax abatement, this job is still going to generate about $100,000 to $150,000 a year with the full 10-year tax abatement, which is 15 times what it did pre-COVID. The amount of taxes that we have paid, okay, sales tax and on the material, is in the millions as well, right? So you really look at the effect of a job like that. Oh, I forgot to mention a big thing, which is this is a job that provides private services, meaning it's private trash collection, it's private snow plowing, right? So there is no, there's no burden on city services because of these 150 units. So there's an HOA that collects the trash, that does the snow plowing, the sidewalks, everything, right? Insurance, everything. So really, what is the effect of services on a community that are minimal, like the amount of money that it provides and revenues for the city is unbelievable. 250 jobs were created just on Kensington Court. Now, these are good paying construction jobs, which means money spent on the local economy. Hence, you see what's going on in the Riverwards area, restaurants, shops, corridors coming back to life after tens of years of seeing nothing since the 80s, 70s, 90s, started coming back. So you can see the difference, even with the 10-year tax abatement, what these jobs do. I am talking about, they've already paid about 200 years of redevelopment taxes, okay, has gone into the city coffers. So we truly believe that 10-year tax abatement, I mean, that's a conversation that has long gone. So I don't want to revisit, the new tax abatement is already there, and now it's going to be pushed for 3 years, hopefully. But the 10-year tax abatement has that great effect on bringing development to the city.
I mean, it's clear that developers would not have started developing back in the 90s without it. I mean, they started it with the commercial buildings, and that's how those towers got built. And now, it's just it's interesting how they make decisions. I guess it's putting it nicely.
Well, that's true, but look at the first set of homes. I owned a home 15 years ago that was under the 10-year tax abatement. Right, I didn't sell that house. I mean, there was like this big notion that, hey, once the 10-year tax abatement expires, everyone is going to be running away from their homes and selling. That's not true. It is not true. Yes, people sell their homes, but at a normal rate. We didn't see that these homes being sold and foreclosures happening and
No.
no.
And the average person sells in 7 years.
Right. So it's just
so the new person buys the house. They know they have a few years left. They're happy about getting that house with the abatement, and they know when it's over, they're going to pay whatever it's supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, it's not a big deal. And I do recall back about a decade ago, people saying that there's going to be all these people that can't pay their mortgage. But in fact, there's more equity in homes right now than there's ever been in our country since the repair of the 2008 crisis. Lending stricter, the guidelines allowed for people to be able to purchase when they should be purchasing, right? So now they have more equity now with the rise of since 11, right? We are 9 years of constant appreciation.
Absolutely.
Not just here in Philadelphia, but nationally as well. I mean, and now in some areas it's like crazy. Things are up 20%, 30%.
Yes.
And in 6 months.
And I still believe that 10-year tax abatement is a program with, unprecedented success and the reason for why Philly is Philly today. Now, there are issues that are assessment related. So the question is, so if something is working so well, why are we changing it? And why did it get changed? And because, I have to give it, I speak to a lot of the politicians, and there's a lot of pressure, from people who are, in these neighborhoods that are looking at it and saying, hey, listen, now, you can't be telling us that the schools are underfunded and you're giving, people coming out of the city and people who can afford these homes and giving them a tax break. So that's the pressure. That's a constituent that goes and expresses that concern. And so the politician really, even though they might be looking at this globally and seeing the benefit, but at the end of the day, they're also listening to their constituents who are saying, basically, you can't support tax abatement. Now, I would say that we as a development industry have done a poor job, okay, for the last 10 years onto really showing the effects of the 10-year tax abatement. We had to do more 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and showing how this is, real. But we were busy taking advantage of a good legislation and bringing business to the city, okay, while you have, for example, the Office of Property Assessment also going through all these kind of changes, trying to, find out a way to assess land, right? And then came the 2017 reassessment of the whole city, which basically, started really getting the conversation into, we must end that 10-year tax. Well, that's an assessment issue that I would say that the development industry paid for through that changing of legislation, because it was not done, in my opinion, in a well thought manner. But again, I'm not I don't know what the gravity is of reassessing all of these neighborhoods, so I can't say someone did something wrong or right. I'm just saying that is, I think, the cause of what happened with the 10-year tax abatement. It's
right.
It's the 2010 reassessment that caused all that loud noise.
Hopefully, it gets extended. When will you know?
I want to say I don't. I don't know. I think it's going to come in the next coming few days. I think there was a hearing that was scheduled. It was canceled. It was delayed for a week. but it's going to happen this session. So
Good.
we will not, definitely it's going to happen before the end of the year, right? Because of the expiration.
Right.
I think that over the next coming couple of weeks, we'll know, 2 to 3 weeks, we'll know a lot more.
Good. So hopefully that's good news. It'll be good news for all of us. Every time there's a real estate transaction that happens, it employs 80 people. 80 different industries are affected by it. People paint, they buy furniture, they buy new dishes, they buy, 80. It's amazing. It's really amazing when the real estate economy is strong, how the rest of the economy is strong. So we want to keep that going. So how are you feeling about the Philadelphia real estate market?
I think the prospects of Philly, I was just having a conversation a couple weeks with Larry, my partner, and I said, you know what, Philadelphia development that's happening and the boom that's happening in Philadelphia, in my opinion, is just starting. Like a lot of people look back and be like, oh my God, everything that happened in the last 10 years was a lot. I think it's a drop in the bucket of what Philadelphia is going to see over the next coming 20 years. You have a lot of old inventory that is, Philadelphia is such an old city. You've got a lot of old inventory that's going to come onto the market, that's going to have to get rehab, new stuff replacing it. You already have seen entire zip codes that are starting to see a lot of these land purchases and approvals going through it. I think the next coming 5 to 10 years are going to be even more. You're going to see more stuff happening in the neighborhoods. Remember, Maria, up until 6-7 years ago, all of the development that was happening was only infill, mostly infill. Infill construction, maybe 10 homes, maybe 7 homes, maybe 12 homes. You haven't seen 100 and 200 and 300 unit jobs in Philly, except in the last 4 or 5 years, in that magnitude, in the neighborhoods. And there's more to come. And so I truly think the prospects of Philly are great. I do think that good legislation and good government paying attention to the effects of the development industry is key for that, right? And key to that success of the development industry. We want to be attractive to a lot of markets that are surrounding us. We want to be attractive to a lot of investors to put money into our city and finance these jobs. We speak to lenders every day, and everyone sees the prospects in Philly. It is now the job of the city as government to keep that nice, good momentum going, right? While still working consciously to resolve the city's challenges. Okay, we are, as a building industry association, working through the challenges that the city is facing when it comes to the housing industry, when it comes to affordable housing, when it comes to tax abatement. We are a very open-minded, reasonable organization, and we say it when it makes sense, it's okay, and we say it when things just completely doesn't make sense. We're like, all right, this is not going to result in whatever you want. So with responsible legislation and things moving the way they were, I think you're going to see even more and more construction and development happening.
More large-scale developments coming?
Yeah, absolutely. I think more large-scale developments are going to happen. I think you're going to see there's already a big push. We are pushing a lot of the developers to incorporate affordable units
into the actual
into the developments,
into the plan.
But more and more, and this is very key, Maria, is that, and this is another big surprise kind of legislation out there that a lot of people don't know about. Starting in January of 2020, you are allowed to go and purchase land from the city in a non-competitive manner. called the non-competitive land disposition policy. What does that mean? It means that when you used to purchase land from the city, it has to go into competitive bidding. Other people, have to bid it up, bid it down, whatever it is, and then you go through a huge process of trying to acquire from the city, or it goes to an RFP, a request for proposals, that comes out of the land bank, comes out of Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority, from whichever city landholding organization. Different developers are, compete, right? It takes a long time. Today, you are allowed to go and find a piece of land that you like from the city, and you say, I'm going to go and purchase it for $1 or $5,000 or whatever it is, something nominal. And within 120 days, you should be awarded or denied, whichever the decision is made, provided that 51% of the homes that you develop on that land is affordable. What does that mean? Right.
That's a question. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Okay. So the city owns a 15,000 square feet piece of land in South Kensington, right? We look at it, we're like, oh, I can put 20 single family homes, 10 and 10. Okay. The city owns it. Typically for that 15,000 square feet, I'll be paying whatever, $1 million.
$1 million.
Okay. So I can now go to the city and say, I'm not going to pay the $1 million. I'm going to pay you $5,000. And the city says, okay, but 11 out of these 20 have to be affordable homes. So you get 9 market rate homes out of these 20. Remember, 9 market rate homes. So you can sell a home for $380,000, $390,000, $400,000 with a land basis of nothing. So you're making a killing, right? And then you're looking at the other 11 homes, and you're allowed to do up to 120% AMI. We're looking at maybe a mix between 80 to 100 to 120% AMI. And if you blend all together, now they don't make money, or they lose some, or they make a little bit of money, but when you blend it all together, that job makes your 10, 12, 14% margin that developers on.
I have a question. Is that the same house?
Is it the same house? Not that you don't have to have it as the same house. There's a market. So
you can make a smaller house.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean,
two bedroom, 2 bath, no basement.
Yes, the city has a guideline for the affordable housing. Now, we choose as the Riverwards Group to finish these from the inside the same way as market rate. We did the first and the second workforce housing developments in the city, and we finished them both. We finished them exactly the same as market rate. So people got their hardwood floors, got their 42-inch cabinets, got their granite countertops, got their stainless steel appliances. We didn't see a need to change that. We thought it's not going to look great, right? Size is a different story, but specs, in my opinion, we're the same grade as what we did in our market rate, right? So what you do is you're doing these 9 market rate homes, your typical townhome, 3-story, row home, and then the affordable ones, like you said, they have guidelines by the city. If you're going to do an affordable home, it has to be 1,200 square feet. I think it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, right? And you can easily fit a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in a 1,250 square feet on a 2-story row home. Looks nice, brick exteriors, nice specs from the inside. You go inside, it's a beautiful house. People purchase it for anywhere between, depending on the AMI, between $189,000 to $220,000. That means a house payment of $750 to $900. That's great. That's affordable housing, right? And so when you look at a legislation like that, and you're able to make that much money on these 9 homes and not make money on these 11 homes, but blend it together, you make an average of what you would do on a normal market rate job. If you would have bought that piece of land for $1 million and did 20 of them market rate, you probably would have done the same margin. So what does this legislation do? It makes it a win-win situation between the private sector and the city to provide affordable housing. Now, developers can go and actually want to do affordable housing. That it's no longer a conversation about, oh, you're pushing me to do affordable housing in my buildings. Now developers can go and make money doing affordable homes because you're giving that chance to do a 50% market, 50% affordable homes on land that is being sold at nominal values by the city.
That's pretty amazing. That starts in January?
It started already in January. Okay.
Oh, it started already.
Yes, the legislation is 19606-AA03. It's a great.
What do you think is going to happen from this?
I think what's going to happen from this is you're going to have a lot of developers have some change in business plans to now incorporate building a lot of affordable units, for sale affordable units. It can be for rent as well, but we're looking at it for the for sale. A lot of for sale affordable units as a business plan of making money, right? So for the longest time, the building of affordable units immediately puts that light bulb of I'm going to make less money. It's gonna be pushing developers in something that you want to do. Now, you as a developer, you are actually putting in an application to build affordable homes. Why? Because they're giving you the chance of the other 50% doing market rate with a land basis of nearly nothing, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of affordable homes being developed in the next coming 5 to 10 years under that legislation. It's a real game changer for the Philadelphia industry. It takes the pressure off a lot of the private, fully private market rate developments because, why are you going after peanuts of small units in a building when you have legislation that allows the largest landholder in the city to give you land to build affordable homes and you make money. So it takes that pressure off. BIA, Building Industry Association, both Gary Jonas from the Howe Group and myself, we co-chair the Affordable Home Subcommittee, and Gary is on the subcommittee on the for rent models and me on the for sale models. We are actually going out to developers, educating them and with the models, along with members that do affordable homes, educating the developers on taking advantage of that legislation and saying, hey, let's do our fair share to the city, right? We want to be on the forefront and proactive in going out there and saying, here's what we're doing. We have just compiled from 6-7 developers over the next coming 2 years that between all of us, we're building 1,000 affordable units, of which over 800 of them will not use any subsidies because the subsidy is the nominal land value that allows for the construction of.
That's really amazing. Very exciting stuff, Mo. I didn't know about that.
Yep.
That definitely needs to get out there. So you've been out there educating others?
We are, we're talking to people left and right. We're talking with lenders as well that give us that, that help out on closing costs on the end user. Now, there's also a big announcement. There is something called the Philadelphia Accelerator Fund. The Philadelphia Accelerator Fund is a $100 million fund. Only the first $10 million was funded. It is headed by, there's, I think, 10 to 12 people on the board. I'm the chairman of the board. And that fund is a mixture of city. It's headed by Greg Heller from BIA, the deputy mayor and head of planning commission, city council president, different entities from the city, along with private entities, whether they're from the lending industry, whether they're from the building industry. And what this fund is going to be used for is it's going to provide 4 to 5 different financial products. And these financial products are going to be geared towards affordable construction for projects that provide at least 51% affordable homes. And it's not permanent or construction loans, but they help out in pre-construction loans. They're going to be helping in acquisition loans. in mezzanine loans, in mini perm loans. So that's a great thing too. It's a nonprofit, so it is not a city fund, right? So it doesn't get tied to a lot of other stuff. And then it is being managed and headed in terms of administratively and by Greg, the head of PRA. And in 2 years or 3 years, it is going to have its own staff that basically operate it. And we're in the period of raising the funds. That $100 million is going to be coming from city, $10 million, about 60 coming from lenders and banks, and about 30 coming from philanthropy and other sources. And we are in the money raise period right now, and we're expecting that by the end of first quarter or the beginning of second quarter of 2021 to start dispersing funds for applications for this. So that's going to also provide that nice push for the affordable housing.
Fantastic. That's really great work that you're doing. It's been a big problem, the affordable housing, and it sounds like this is going to solve a big portion of it.
Absolutely. I think so too.
When will you think we'll start seeing these developments come out of the ground?
So, I'll talk to you about the stuff that we as Riverwards Group as a company are doing. We got awarded lots by the city about 2 weeks ago. Took that 120 days. That program is headed by Angel Rodriguez and
Angel
heads the land disposition for the land. He heads the land bank. Great guy, very responsive. Is really works closely with the private sector to try to, incentivize the building of affordable homes. Reasonable guy. I mean, him, Greg Heller, and Fadul, and these guys are true. I think, great people in the city that that work with us to try to advance what the city wants to do. So we've got awarded first lots in District 1. We have applications in District 5. We have applications in District 7. Not only that, we are talking to different district city council people. We're going out there to the actual city council people and saying, hey, did you know about that legislation? We want you as city council members to package land for us, right? And send it to us. And we will take it to our members so that they can do that 51% affordable and that. So you tell us what your needs are, right? And now we don't have to wait for an RFP, 300-page document to come out of PRA or Land Bank or whatever the organization is. Now we can utilize our acquisition people and our analysts to go out there and do it for them, okay? And put the package together. It's a simple package, it's an easy package. You got to demonstrate ability. You got to, there's some prerequisites, right? And so we are on the proactive end, proactively going out there to city council and saying, give us land. We're here waiting for someone to give us the land, and so we can educate our people to it and advance it. So that's again a win-win situation for everyone. City council, planning, land bank. It's a win-win for everyone.
So it's taken, because the land bank's been around a while, and they've tried different ways in order to move these parcels of land. But this one sounds like this one might be the winner.
We think so too. Remember, the land bank, a lot of people go take that kind of 30,000 view and say, hey, listen, the land bank is not working. I disagree. And I say that there are pressures outside of land bank.
Yes.
Right? That the land bank cannot control. Right? And you've got a lot of properties that have Philadelphia is such a complicated city. Every lot of land has a story behind it and has issues behind it, and has different organizations that have different, interests, different. So comes that new legislation, the land disposition policy, and it basically streamlines the process, right? And it basically says, hey, listen, it's fair game. This is available land. Go, and we'll 120 days. We'll respond to you.
Yeah. I love it. This is like so informative and super exciting, because I do believe what you're saying will make these things will happen, because now you have all of the people that need to be involved and together, and you're being extremely, proactive in making all of that happen. As in the past, it was kind of exactly the opposite of how it would happen.
Right.
So that's awesome.
It is.
So COVID, what?
What's that?
I said COVID, what?
Yeah, right.
Lots is just conversation. You would never think that there was something out there, because it's looking at all the other things that you can do and taking control and being proactive and moving things forward, regardless of whatever's happening. You know, Mo, I said talk about this a lot, is that we always had uncertainty. We just didn't live like it.
Yeah. We took it for granted.
That's correct. It was always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about how you handle it and what's happening here. This is the only thing you and I can control, is what is going on.
That's exactly right.
In our mind.
That's exactly right.
I've seen a lot of businesses really shift and develop other businesses from all of this. And then, of course, some went the other way. But it's up to us as individuals, as companies, to say, okay, well, this is what it is. What are we going to do? And how are we going to, push forward? And it's very exciting to see and hear all of what's going on behind the scenes. This Philadelphia Accelerator Fund, that's pretty incredible.
It is. It is. And I want to say that, everyone on the board, and Greg Heller and Fadulon, these guys are working tirelessly. But again, we just hear headlines, but when you really go behind the scenes, there's a lot of work being done, and it's being done, in my opinion, now in an effective way, where we're bringing all the stakeholders together. Right? It's not stuff that's happening in the vacuum between city on its own, or private developers on their own, or city council on its own. People are working together, right, to kind of come up with something that might not be the happiest for any of the stakeholders, but it's a happy compromise and medium that we can actually get results from. And that's what's changing, and that's what's so exciting.
Well, you have to take the first step, I think, and this is definitely, I'm really excited by it. I'd like to get the word out there too, because I bet there's lots of people that don't know what's going on. So how do we do that?
So we have engaged the Philadelphia Accelerator Fund has engaged a marketing and a PR company that put a plan together, and we're in the execution stage of that plan. And we're going to have some very good outreach, neighborhood outreach, developers outreach, all these financial products. We received feedback from the Building Industry Association, from the Urban Land Institute, from the Enterprise Center, from different organizations, so that who deal with these kind of situations, where we came up with term sheets that we think are very competitive. We spoke with banks and lenders about it. They're going to be funding that program. And, I think the outreach is going to happen the first quarter of next year. So that's just next quarter. We're already.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're about 65 days away from the new year. So I think within the next coming 100 days, you're going to start seeing the outreach happening to different organizations, neighborhood groups, to make sure that this program is successful in reaching the people that need for them to reach.
You want to talk about being the solution? That is being the solution for sure.
We're trying. Everyone has to put their effort to be part of the solution. I always say that we're very true believers in that. is that we cannot work as a development industry in the vacuum of we're developing, building, selling, moving on to the next job. We have to dedicate a lot of our time into understanding the issues of our city and works towards a solution that actually is beneficial for the development industry and the city. So I always believe there's always a win-win solution of things, and it's not always us against them or them against us.
Very well said.
There's always something that we can do together.
Very well said. Mo, this has been extremely enlightening today.
Thank you so much.
A lot of fun. And I hope that we could have I don't know when it's going to happen, but I am looking forward to going to a BIA event soon. Hopefully we'll have events again in some capacity.
Yes.
Soon. It's been way too long, but it's great to see you today. I appreciate you. I am grateful for all the work that you're doing for our city and for the development industry and for your company. You're really doing a remarkable job. So thank you
so much, and thank you for the opportunity and for everything that you have been doing for us and for the city and for getting the word out there.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon.
You too. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.